I want you to imagine something for a moment. You have just finished what felt like a genuinely healthy dinner, a fresh salad, some steamed vegetables, maybe a warm bowl of vegetable soup. You go to bed feeling satisfied, even proud of the choices you made today. But somewhere in the hours that follow, something shifts. Your words feel strange when you try to speak. One arm feels oddly heavy. You wake up dizzy in a way that has never happened before. Most people, when they picture this scenario, assume it was caused by something obviously unhealthy. Fried food, processed sugar, fast food consumed in a moment of weakness. But here is the reality that shocks almost everyone who hears it for the first time. Sometimes it is caused by a vegetable, a specific vegetable that you have been eating for years, possibly decades, under the sincere belief that it was protecting your heart and your brain. And after the age of 60, that same vegetable can quietly begin working against you. I have witnessed this pattern repeatedly throughout my years working with older adults. Foods that genuinely supported your body at 40 can begin producing the opposite effect at 60 or 70, particularly when combined with common prescription medications or consumed at the wrong time of day. But here is what I want you to understand before we go any further. This is not a reason to fear food. This is a reason to understand how your aging body processes food differently than it once did. And that understanding gives you power. In this video, we are going to walk through 9 common vegetables that can quietly increase stroke risk in adults over 60. And more importantly, exactly how to continue eating them safely without giving them up. Make absolutely certain you stay until the very end, because the final vegetable on this list is one that the majority of seniors consume every single week, and it may carry the most significant hidden risk of all. Let us begin. The superfood that can quietly narrow your brain's blood supply after 60. For generations, spinach has occupied a position at the very top of the healthy food hierarchy. Rich in iron, magnesium, antioxidants, and a remarkable range of nutrients. It has been called a superfood more times than anyone can count. But after 60, spinach can quietly shift from protective ally to hidden threat if consumed the wrong way. The mechanism behind this involves oxalates. These are naturally occurring compounds found throughout spinach that bind to calcium in the digestive system. In younger adults with healthy kidney function, this bonding process is largely harmless. The kidneys filter out the resulting compounds efficiently and eliminate them. But as we age, kidney filtration slows measurably, blood vessels stiffen, and a significant percentage of seniors take calcium or vitamin D supplements as part of their daily routine. When these factors converge, oxalates and calcium can form tiny calcium oxalate crystals that circulate within the bloodstream. Over time, these microscopic crystals can accumulate and progressively narrow the small arteries that supply blood to the brain. Picture fine sand slowly accumulating inside a narrow pipe. Blood flow becomes restricted. Oxygen delivery decreases. And in this compromised environment, even a small clot becomes capable of triggering a silent stroke, frequently occurring during the overnight hours when circulation naturally slows. This does not mean spinach must be eliminated from your diet. It means your body handles it differently after 60 than it did before. To continue benefiting from spinach safely, consume it earlier in the day, breakfast or lunch, when your body is better positioned to process it. Avoid pairing it with calcium or vitamin D supplements in the same meal. And if you have any existing kidney concerns or cardiovascular conditions, discuss your spinach consumption specifically with your physician. Spinach remains an extraordinary source of nutrition. Respected and consumed wisely, it will continue to protect you. Dismissed and consumed carelessly, it may quietly work against your brain during the very hours when you are most vulnerable. But what comes next surprises nearly everyone, because vegetable number 8 is one that most cardiologists have praised for decades, and after 60, it can silently interfere with the very medications keeping your heart stable. The heart-healthy vegetable that can quietly throw your blood thinners off balance. Broccoli has earned its reputation as one of the most reliably beneficial vegetables available. dense with fiber, antioxidants, and vitamins that support immune function, cellular health, and longevity. For most of your life, eating more broccoli was simply a good decision. But after 60, broccoli introduces a specific risk that most seniors are never warned about. Not because the vegetable itself becomes harmful, but because of how it interacts with medications that millions of older adults take every single day. The central issue is vitamin K. Broccoli contains substantial amounts of this nutrient, which plays a fundamental role in blood clotting. In a body not taking any medications, vitamin K performs exactly the function it was designed to perform. But for seniors taking blood thinners, warfarin, clopidogrel, or even daily aspirin, elevated vitamin K intake can directly interfere with how these medications work. It can cause blood to become either too thick or dangerously too thin, depending on the direction of the interference. That delicate balance between effective medication and circulatory safety is precisely where strokes and serious cardiovascular events tend to occur. And here is the specific danger that most people miss entirely. It is not eating broccoli consistently that creates the problem. It is inconsistency. Consuming large amounts one week, then none the following week, then large amounts again. These fluctuations in vitamin K intake can destabilize your medication levels without producing any symptoms you would notice, until the moment your blood pressure spikes or your blood becomes too thin to clot normally. The solution is not to eliminate broccoli. It is to eat it with consistent regularity. Maintain a predictable, moderate intake rather than cycling between extremes. And critically, inform your physician about your typical dietary patterns so that your medication dosages can be calibrated accurately around what you actually eat. Broccoli can absolutely continue to protect your heart and support your brain, but after 60, it requires awareness, consistency, and open communication with your healthcare provider. Stay with me, because vegetable number 7 is one that most seniors consider the safest possible dinner choice, and it carries a hidden overnight risk almost no one talks about. The innocent dinner salad that can thicken your blood while you sleep. For countless older adults, a light salad in the evening represents the ideal healthy dinner choice. Low in calories, easy on digestion, gentle on the heart. It feels like the safest possible thing to put on your plate before bed. But romaine lettuce eaten late in the evening carries a hidden risk that has nothing to do with its calorie content or nutritional profile. Romaine acts as a natural diuretic. It encourages your body to release water, a process that in younger adults with robust kidney function and strong hydration signals is essentially inconsequential. But after 60, kidney function has slowed, blood vessels have stiffened. And perhaps most significantly, the thirst signals that once reliably alerted you to dehydration have weakened considerably. You may feel adequately hydrated while your blood is already becoming more concentrated than it should be. As you sleep and your body continues processing the diuretic effect of the romaine you consumed at dinner, your blood progressively thickens. Thick blood moves sluggishly through arteries that are already less flexible than they were at 40. In this environment, small clots form more readily. And when those clots coincide with the natural reduction in circulation that occurs during sleep, the conditions for a stroke become measurably more favorable. This risk increases further if you are already taking blood pressure medications or prescribed diuretics, both of which amplify the fluid-releasing effect. The solution is simple and requires no sacrifice. Move your romaine consumption to lunch or early afternoon when your hydration and active circulation are at their strongest. If you genuinely prefer a green salad in the evening, drink a full glass of water alongside it to counterbalance the diuretic effect. Romaine lettuce remains a genuinely valuable source of nutrients for cardiovascular and digestive health. The timing of when you eat it is what determines whether it works for you or quietly against you. Now, wait until you hear about vegetable number 6, because this one is marketed specifically as a healthy snack for older adults, and the hidden risk involves something happening deep in your bloodstream while you sleep. The healthy snack that can trigger dangerous blood pressure. Swings overnight, carrots occupy a unique position in the landscape of healthy snacking. Crunchy, naturally sweet, low in calories, and widely recommended for eye health and immune function. They feel like one of the most straightforwardly safe foods available. But for adults over 60, particularly those managing prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or simply the slower metabolic response that accompanies aging, raw carrots eaten at the wrong time can initiate a chain of physiological events that quietly raises stroke risk overnight. Raw carrots digest rapidly and release their natural sugars into the bloodstream in a relatively concentrated window of time. In younger adults with responsive insulin systems, this blood sugar elevation is managed smoothly and quickly. In older adults, the response is different. Blood sugar rises more sharply. And when carrots are consumed later in the day or as an evening snack, that elevation occurs precisely as your body is preparing for the reduced metabolic activity of sleep. The blood sugar spike is followed by a corresponding crash during the overnight hours. That crash triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline, stress hormones that constrict blood vessels and elevate blood pressure at a time when your cardiovascular system should be resting and recovering. Layer mild overnight dehydration on top of this hormonal response, and you have created conditions genuinely favorable for the formation of small clots that can reduce oxygen delivery to the brain. The adjustment required here is minimal. Simply avoid eating raw carrots alone as a late afternoon or evening snack. Consume them earlier in the day and always pair them with a source of protein or healthy fat. Hummus, a small handful of nuts, or plain yogurt. These pairings slow sugar absorption significantly and eliminate the blood sugar spike that creates the downstream risk. Carrots remain an outstanding source of beta-carotene, antioxidants, and fiber. Consumed at the right time and with the right accompaniments, they continue to serve your health exceptionally well. If you are finding this information genuinely useful, please take a moment right now to give this video a like. It helps more seniors discover health information that can make a real difference. Subscribe for more content dedicated to keeping you strong, sharp, and independent. And drop a comment below. How old are you? Where are you watching from? And how has your health been recently? I read every single comment. Now, vegetable number 5 is one that has been celebrated as a natural medicine for centuries. But after 60, combined with certain medications, it can become genuinely dangerous. Nature's most celebrated healer that can become a hidden danger. After 60, garlic has been used as both food and medicine across virtually every culture in recorded human history. Its documented effects on blood pressure, immune function, and cardiovascular health are supported by an impressive body of research. For most of your life, consuming garlic regularly has been an unambiguously positive choice. But after 60, particularly for those taking blood-thinning medications, garlic can cross a critical line, from natural protection to genuine cardiovascular risk. Garlic contains allicin and a range of sulfur-based compounds that naturally reduce blood clotting and support free blood flow through the vessels. Under normal circumstances, these properties are beneficial, but when combined with prescription anticoagulants, warfarin, clopidogrel, or even a daily low-dose aspirin that many seniors take routinely, garlic's blood-thinning properties do not simply add to the medication's effect. They can amplify it to a degree that renders the blood dangerously thin. When blood is excessively thin, the delicate blood vessels within the brain become vulnerable to bleeding rather than clotting. The resulting condition, a hemorrhagic stroke, is caused not by a blockage but by a rupture. The warning signs can include unusual bruising appearing without explanation, nosebleeds that occur with increasing frequency, persistent headaches, and generalized fatigue. The responsible approach is not to eliminate garlic entirely. It is to use it with the same care and intentionality you would apply to any therapeutic substance. Avoid concentrated garlic supplements unless your physician has specifically reviewed and approved them. Stick to modest quantities of cooked garlic in meals. Cooking measurably reduces its blood-thinning potency while preserving much of its cardiovascular benefit. Monitor for early warning signs that your blood may be thinning excessively, and keep your physician informed about the regularity and quantity of garlic in your diet so that medication adjustments can be made as needed. Garlic is genuinely one of nature's most remarkable gifts. After 60, it simply requires the same respect you would extend to any powerful medicine. The flavor staple that can drop your blood pressure, dangerously low overnight onions are among the most nutritionally valuable members of the allium family. They contain quercetin, a potent antioxidant compound with documented anti-inflammatory properties and the ability to naturally lower blood pressure by relaxing blood vessel walls and improving circulation. For most adults, these effects are straightforwardly beneficial. But for seniors over 60 who are already taking prescription medications for blood pressure or blood thinning, onions consumed in significant quantities, particularly later in the day, can cause blood pressure to fall lower than is safe. Here is the specific mechanism. Quercetin acts on blood vessels in a manner that mirrors the action of certain antihypertensive medications. When consumed alongside those medications rather than independently, the combined effect can produce a blood pressure reduction that goes beyond the therapeutic target. Pressure drops too low, blood flow to the brain decreases, oxygen delivery becomes insufficient. The result can manifest as dizziness, confusion, sudden fatigue, or in more serious cases, a fainting episode or mild stroke during the night when the body is already in a lower circulation state. The adjustment is straightforward. Treat onions as a flavoring agent rather than a central component of your meals. Cook them rather than consuming them raw. Heat significantly reduces quercetin concentration. Avoid heavy onion-rich dishes in the evening when your circulation naturally slows and your body has less reserve to compensate for blood pressure fluctuations. Stay hydrated throughout the day. And if you are managing blood pressure or circulation with prescription medications, specifically mention your typical onion consumption to your physician. Even modest dietary adjustments can meaningfully influence how those medications perform. Onions remain a genuinely valuable addition to a healthy diet. After 60, the key is moderation, using them to enhance flavor and provide gentle support rather than consuming them in quantities that can tip your medication balance in an unintended direction. The comfort food, hiding a blood sugar trap that creates clots overnight. For many older adults, corn carries associations of warmth and comfort. Corn on the cob in summer, a bowl of grits on a cold morning, corn in soups and stews that have been staples of family cooking for generations. It feels harmless, familiar, safe. But here is something most people are genuinely surprised to learn. Nutritionally, corn behaves far more like a refined starch than a vegetable. And after 60, that distinction carries significant cardiovascular consequences. When corn is consumed, your body converts its dense concentration of natural starches and sugars into glucose with considerable speed. The resulting blood sugar elevation is comparable in many respects to eating white bread or processed grain products. For a younger adult with a responsive and efficient insulin system, this spike is managed and resolved quickly. For older adults, particularly those with insulin resistance, prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or simply the reduced metabolic efficiency that accompanies aging, the response is less controlled. Blood sugar climbs sharply and then falls with equal abruptness. This roller coaster pattern, particularly when it occurs during the overnight hours following an evening meal that included corn, triggers the release of cortisol and adrenaline as the body responds to the blood sugar crash. These stress hormones constrict blood vessels, accelerate heart rate, and thicken the blood, creating exactly the physiological conditions most favorable for clot formation during sleep. The practical solution requires no permanent elimination. Avoid eating corn as part of your evening meal. When you do consume it, pair it with protein and healthy fats, eggs, avocado, beans, or legumes to blunt the speed of sugar absorption. Treat fresh corn on the cob as an occasional choice rather than a daily staple, and recognize that processed corn products such as corn flakes, cornmeal, and corn chips produce even faster blood sugar spikes than fresh corn and should be treated with corresponding caution. The elegant side dish that can silently dehydrate your blood while you sleep. Asparagus occupies a somewhat elevated position in the world of healthy eating. Light, sophisticated, and genuinely nutritious, It appears regularly in health-conscious meal plans and is widely regarded as an excellent choice for older adults managing their cardiovascular health. But asparagus has a property that almost nobody discusses in the context of stroke risk after 60. It is a powerful natural diuretic. Asparagus actively promotes water elimination from the body. In younger adults with strong kidney function, reliable hydration signals, and robust vascular flexibility, this effect is manageable and largely inconsequential. In older adults, whose kidneys filter more slowly, whose thirst signals have weakened, and whose blood vessels no longer maintain the same elastic responsiveness they once did, the diuretic effect of asparagus consumed in the evening can contribute meaningfully to overnight dehydration. As the body loses fluid during sleep on top of the fluid already being drawn out by the asparagus, blood progressively thickens. Thicker blood moves more slowly through arteries that are already less compliant than they were decades earlier. In this environment, the conditions for small clot formation are significantly more favorable, and those clots, forming during the hours of overnight circulation slowdown, can reduce blood flow to critical areas of the brain. This risk is amplified further for seniors who are already taking prescribed diuretic medications or blood pressure drugs, many of which have diuretic properties of their own. The adjustment is simple and entirely manageable. Move asparagus consumption to lunch or early dinner rather than late evening. When you do eat it, consume a meaningful amount of water alongside it and pair it with hydrating foods such as cucumber, watermelon, or celery. If you take diuretic or blood pressure medications, discuss asparagus consumption specifically with your physician to ensure you are managing the combined fluid effect appropriately. Asparagus remains rich in folate, vitamins K and C, and antioxidants that genuinely support cardiovascular and skin health. Timing and hydration awareness are what determine whether it protects you or quietly works against you overnight. Now we arrive at the final vegetable. The one I told you at the beginning of this video you would not want to miss. The one most seniors consume several times every week, and the one that produces symptoms so similar to early stroke warning signs that most people never connect the two. The kitchen staple that can mimic stroke symptoms and destabilize circulation overnight. Tomatoes are perhaps the most universally trusted symbol of healthy eating in the modern kitchen. Refreshing, versatile, packed with lycopene and antioxidants. They appear in health guidance consistently, recommended for cardiovascular protection and cancer prevention alike. But after 60, tomatoes can produce a pattern of circulatory disruption that is subtle, consistent, and genuinely dangerous, particularly when consumed in significant quantities or as part of a late evening meal. The reason involves a category of chemical compounds called nightshade alkaloids. Tomatoes belong to the nightshade botanical family, and they contain histamines, tyramines, and solanine. In younger adults with resilient vascular systems and robust neurological regulation, these compounds produce minimal noticeable effect. In older adults, whose blood vessels are already more fragile, whose neurological responses are more sensitive, and whose bodies process inflammatory compounds less efficiently, these substances can trigger unpredictable blood vessel behavior. They can cause vessels to constrict or dilate irregularly, interfere with the nerve signaling that regulates circulation, and generate a pattern of inflammatory activity that specifically affects the aging cardiovascular system. The resulting symptoms, dizziness, headaches, numbness in the extremities, temporary confusion, can mimic the early warning signs of a stroke with unsettling accuracy. And because most people would never associate these symptoms with the tomato sauce they ate for dinner, the connection goes completely unrecognized. Beyond the alkaloid issue, tomatoes carry significant acidity that disrupts electrolyte balance, specifically depleting calcium and magnesium, two minerals that are foundational to stable nerve function and proper muscle contraction in the heart and blood vessel walls. When this depletion occurs during sleep, blood pressure fluctuations and irregular circulation patterns become more likely. None of this means tomatoes must be permanently removed from your plate. The adjustments required are specific and manageable. Cook tomatoes rather than consuming them raw, The cooking process reduces solanine levels and simultaneously increases the bioavailability of lycopene, meaning you actually extract more of the protective antioxidant benefit from cooked tomatoes than from raw ones. Avoid heavy tomato-based dishes, tomato sauces, soups, or stews consumed in large portions as your evening meal. Enjoy tomatoes earlier in the day when your circulation is stronger and your body is better positioned to manage the alkaloid compounds and acidity. Pair tomatoes with magnesium-rich foods such as pumpkin seeds, dark leafy greens, or legumes to counterbalance the electrolyte-depleting acidity. Tomatoes can absolutely remain a consistent part of your diet and continue providing genuine cardiovascular protection. The conditions under which you consume them are simply more important after 60 than they were before. After learning about these 9 vegetables and the specific ways they can quietly affect circulation after 60, it is entirely natural to feel a degree of surprise, possibly even unease. We have been told throughout our lives that vegetables are the foundation of healthy eating, that more vegetables always means better health, that plant foods are uniformly safe and beneficial, and for most of our lives, that guidance was broadly accurate. But after 60, the body changes in ways that alter how it processes even the most nutritious foods. Kidney filtration becomes less efficient. Blood vessel walls lose flexibility and become more reactive. Hydration regulation becomes less reliable. And the introduction of prescription medications for blood pressure, cholesterol, clotting, and blood sugar creates an entirely new landscape of food-drug interactions that simply did not exist earlier in life. The truth is not that vegetables have become your enemy. The truth is that the context in which you consume them now matters far more than it once did. A spinach salad at breakfast may strengthen your vascular system. That same spinach salad eaten late at night combined with a calcium supplement may quietly work against it. Garlic cooked into a meal in modest amounts may protect your heart. Garlic supplements layered on top of prescription anticoagulants may endanger your brain. Timing, quantity, medication interactions, hydration. These are the variables that determine whether your food is working for you or subtly against you after 60. And understanding these variables is not a burden. It is freedom. It is the knowledge that gives you genuine control over your health rather than leaving you at the mercy of patterns you cannot see. Everything shared in this video is intended solely for educational purposes and does not constitute professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment of any kind. Every individual's health circumstances are unique, particularly if you are managing chronic conditions or taking prescription medications. Before making meaningful changes to your diet, supplement routine, or eating patterns, consult directly with your physician or a qualified healthcare provider who knows your complete medical history. Working in close partnership with your doctor remains the most reliable path towards sustained long-term health after 60. Today we walked through 9 common vegetables: spinach, broccoli, romaine lettuce, raw carrots, garlic, onions, corn, asparagus, and tomatoes, and the specific ways each one can quietly elevate stroke risk when consumed incorrectly after 60. But I want to leave you with the most important message of this entire video. These foods are not your enemies. They never were, and they do not have to become so. When eaten at the right time, in appropriate quantities, with awareness of your medications and your hydration, every one of these vegetables can continue to protect your brain and support your cardiovascular health. What changes after 60 is not whether you can eat them. What changes is how you eat them. Now, I want to hear from you directly. Which of these 9 vegetables surprised you most? And will you be making any changes to when or how you eat them based on what you learned today? Share your answer in the comments below. Your experience and your story may be exactly what another senior watching this video needs to hear. If you found this video genuinely valuable, please like it, subscribe to the channel, and consider sharing it with someone you care about who is over 60, because the right information at the right time can make an extraordinary difference. Remember, what you put on your plate today directly shapes the clarity, strength, and independence you carry with you into tomorrow. Stay sharp, stay safe, and stay vital. Because aging is not about decline. This is Dr. Berg. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.